Hi everyone, it's Corey Jones with Remax Sarnia Realty, Home Team Advantage, and proud sponsor of lovesarnialampton.ca. I'm here with Marilyn Gifford, and I just wanted to give you all an opportunity to get to know Marilyn a little bit. You may have seen her out and about in our community, and I think it's important for you to hear her message and hear what she's doing. So Marilyn, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
I'm so excited.
So appreciate it. You're
Yeah.
excited. I'm excited.
Awesome.
To be able to share this.
So some people may have seen you walking around and down under the bridge with an apron on, and some of us knew what you were doing, some of us didn't. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Okay. My apron says, this old lady needs 1,000 signatures. And then at the bottom it says, your life may depend upon it. And you know what? It's true. Your life may depend upon it. I am advocating for a pilot program here for Sarnia Lambton, that if we can obtain this pilot program that will run for 5 years, and we are able to host 3 more residents a year here locally, again for the 5 years, we will have 15 new doctors in as little as 6, and those doctors can serve up to 30,000 people.
Wow.
That just blows my mind when I do the math. But the bonus is that as much as I consider this to be a community issue, and we all know we're all feeling the pain here in Sarnia Lambton, it's only the politicians that can solve it.
Right.
So I am advocating this pilot program, but the person that has to solve this is Bob Bailey and Sylvia Jones, the Minister of Health.
Okay.
And they're working towards it. They've heard our cries. They're working towards it. I think things are going well. I'm very positive.
Yeah. But
we still need to advocate. We still need to make everyone aware that there's no reason for this doctor shortage.
No, that's incredible. So potentially 15 new doctors in a matter of how many years?
Each doctor will train for 2 years. Okay. So year 1 we have 2. Year 2 will have 4. But then year 3 will have, anyways, it just goes on. So it will start like, the residency programs can start as early as April, and I hope they will. That's April coming up.
Wow.
And then from then on, every 2 years, we'll get extra doctors, and it will, I can't do the math in my head, but it's 15 new doctors with as little as 3.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, and I think that's the thing is you know, I talked to you before we started this, that like I don't have a family doctor, so I think there's a lot of people who don't, and
they don't,
and you know, and we hear people all the time get frustrated when they go in to see a doctor, whether it's through a walk-in clinic or their GP, saying, you know, they say that we can only talk about one thing at a time, and the reality is that's because they're overworked.
They are overworked.
Yeah. They
are overworked. It was reported in the Sarnia Observer July, and then another report in August of this year, and I believe it was Dr. Haddad says he's predicting a tsunami of healthcare issues here for Lambton County. You know, I think in August it was reported that we're short 10 right now. But another 10 are ready to retire. And some of the ones that have retired and have come back, they can't take on a full load.
No.
They just can't, like, bless their hearts, but they just can't. And so many people are without a doctor. Yeah. Wait times are huge for everything. Yeah. And you need a residency to even go into a specialty.
Okay.
And as we know, like our specialists, like sometimes you're like, it's killing people to wait for cancer treatments. It's bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the solution, this residency program, you know, where are these candidates coming from?
Oh, I can tell you. Okay. So in Canada, we have, I believe it's 17 universities. Don't hold me to that. That train medical students. Okay. So we'll take McMaster. McMaster in any given year will have over 6,000 applicants. Over 6,000. Okay. They take just over 200.
Wow.
So what happens if your kid, your cousin, your neighbor is part of that 5,800 that were not accepted? They'll come home and they'll think about it, and if they really want to be a doctor, they might try to get the funds together and they will go offshore.
Okay.
There's 3 places predominantly that train offshore to Canadian standards that I know of, but I think there's more, and that would be the Caribbean, Ireland. We all know doctors trained in Ireland.
Absolutely.
And a lot of doctors are going, or students are going to Australia.
Okay.
So they go there and they spend their own money and they get their education. They come back home and they write their exams to a Canadian standard, and actually I feel it's a little bit higher standards than our Canadian medical graduates would write.
Okay.
When they pass, they're then accepted for residency.
Right.
And they have to apply for a Canadian residency. Okay. Keeping in mind that they're now called IMGs, which means International Medical Graduates.
Okay.
But also keep in mind you have to be a Canadian or have a permanent residency to obtain a resident in Canada.
Okay.
Or Ontario, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, when they graduate from the medical schools, like say McMaster, across Canada, you will have 3,071 medical graduates looking for a residency in Canada. Out of that, you will have 3,070 get a placement. I don't know what happened to the other guy. 3,070. So the Canadian trained are all taken care of.
Wow.
But the ones that went offshore on any given year, it's around 1,800. Okay. They come back, they write our exams, they excel our exams, they're wanting a residency, they qualify, but yet there's only 342 spots available. Wow. So there's 1,500, just less than 1,500 on any given year that do not get a residency. And these are the ones I feel that go across the border. They are welcomed there with open arms, they accept their education, and they really have no choice.
Right.
So when you hear people going across the border to become a doctor because you think there's money, no, it's because there's opportunity. Wow. Money might be involved later on.
Sure.
But then there's more. Out of the 3,070 that get a medical residency here in Canada, 2 years ago, 266 refused their residency for whatever reason. So there's 266 spots left open.
Right.
However, these guys, they were only allocated 342 spots. Once they're full, and those 266 spots remain open, which is wrong. We're in a doctor crisis right here locally. Yeah. We are called underserved.
Right.
I thought Nunavik was underserved.
Right.
You know, I thought third world countries were underserved.
Yeah.
Not Sarnia Lambton.
No. That's unbelievable. So even though those spots are available technically because they were turned down, they still don't open them up to the IMGs to be able to.
No.
So is that 340? Is 346? You said is the number that they're permitted per year?
Yeah,
so,
I think it's 342.
342.
Again, I reverse numbers. I can look them up. It's either 342 or 324.
Okay. But 300-ish. Okay.
Yes, but last year they did increase it, not by a whole lot, but it is, more than that right now, not much.
Wow.
But
so these students, they've graduated, they're a medical graduate, just like they would be if they went to McMaster for their whole education. They have to test to make sure that they are qualified to become a doctor. Yeah. But then the opportunities aren't there for them to become a resident.
No, there's not. It's a two-tiered system.
So is there a time limit from the time that they finish their school to be do they have to take on a residency within a certain amount of time before they have to start over, or is it kind of
I think there is a time limit, but I've been advised not to say anything that I really don't know.
No, that's fair.
I suspect it's around 3 years, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I am not sure at all.
But during that time, there's still more IMG graduates that are.
Yeah, and why wait? There's a rumor going around all the campuses offshore saying don't go back to Ontario because there's a chokehold.
Wow.
You won't get so out of that 1,800, well, that's Canada-wide, but out of the ones that come back here that want a residency, there's many more that don't even try.
Wow.
because it's just,
They just give up.
It,
They just give up.
yeah. And they've got all this money invested. Their dream is being a doctor. Why not take a sure thing?
Right. Yeah.
Why not take a sure thing? Go to the States.
Right.
Yeah. And again, we're underserviced, but like we're hurting.
Absolutely.
Our doctors are exhausted.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely. And unfortunately, things such as, not having the ability to properly diagnose situations, and again, not being able to talk about more than one thing. And I mean, the reality is that sometimes people have more than one problem, right? So,
exactly.
So do you know if we have any in Sarnia that are currently looking for residency that are?
Absolutely. I run into at least 6
Wow.
when I was doing my petition, which I got 3,202
Amazing.
signatures, 2,900 one-on-one.
Amazing.
They've already went to Bob Bailey, and I believe they've already gone to Queen's Park, but I have the ear of Queen's Park, and I have a promise from Sylvia I have a promise that I will be able to meet with Sylvia Jones, the Minister of Health.
That's amazing.
To help this go through.
That's amazing. Good for you. And thank you for doing that, because I think it's obviously that it's required a lot of your time and a lot of your efforts to 2,900 signatures in person, face to face. That's huge. I mean, we all know that there's the ability to get some signatures online and things like that, but when you're face to face with people, you get the opportunity to talk to them a little bit more and explain things to them too. So on behalf of everybody in the community, I thank you, because again, I don't have a doctor, and not that I'm in a hurry to go to one, but the reality is we're all going to need doctors. We all need doctors at some point, right?
We are.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. So these 6 that you've met with, so the reality is, if they don't get a residency in Canada, some may just quit, some may go overseas, and then we're going to lose them
forever.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. There's been a lot of articles. Actually, the day before I presented to Petrolia Council, a JP Tasker, who is a political writer or something, and parliamentary writer, his article came out the day before my presentation, and it mirrored everything I said.
Really?
And I thought, okay, I've got this right. This is right. Because when you say it and you hear it, you think, oh no, it can't be that easy.
Right.
It is that easy. There's a viable solution. And if there's 50 that have been released in November for Ontario immediately, 22 or 28 are going to Western.
Yeah.
Can't we just have 3?
Yeah.
Can't we just have 3? You know?
Yeah, for sure. And these students, like you'd mentioned, that they have to save their own money. They have to pay for that out of pocket. So unlike some students here who have the ability to full ride scholarship or even partial scholarships, if they're going overseas, they have to pay for that out of pocket.
Exactly.
So not only have they done the work and been tested to a higher standard, they've also incurred quite a bit more debt than what.
Absolutely.
Which we all have heard how much debt our students here incur. So if they're doing that overseas, it's going to be that much greater.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's just wrong. It's just wrong. Like, when we need doctors so badly, why are we turning so many away?
Yeah.
So many homegrown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like Canadian born or at least permanent residents. They're Canadians.
Yes, I think one that just got back was Dr. Duncan Ines, and you've heard him.
Yeah.
I believe he just opened up his practice here.
Okay.
But he couldn't get a residency here either. He went to Michigan, I believe, for his residency.
Yeah. Well, we all hear about people going over there, but again, I guess my impression would have been that they were going for money, or they're going for warmer climates or something like that. But the reality is, we just aren't.
No.
We're not making it available to them.
No.
So this program has been approved for 50 residents, Ontario-wide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're advocating for just 3 more.
Just 3 more. That's our ask. I don't think it's a big ask.
No.
And then what some people are saying, it could actually be the template for the rest of Ontario. We could prove that this works.
Yeah.
And then, in my idea, if it works here, it works across Canada.
Yeah.
Like, because it's just wrong. It's just wrong.
So can I ask, because I guess maybe I don't have any understanding other than what we've talked about, and what I've learned from watching your videos and reading what you've written. What's the downfall for the government allowing us to have 3? Like, is it a cost? Is it a cost issue? Is it like, if somebody wants to train to further their education, why would they limit them?
I really, I assume when they released 50 in November,
Yeah.
and they said they were to start immediately, that the money is there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the money is there. We're just asking for 3.
Yeah.
As far, like, there's 266 spots that are go empty.
Right.
Like,
That's the part.
yeah, like,
that blows me away when I heard
yeah,
that, when I heard you say that, because if they're just there anyway,
I know.
what's the difference?
Like, it's wrong.
It is wrong.
It's wrong. Marty and I were invited to an event in London last week, and we were being recognized as, this is almost embarrassing, as healthcare advocates.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be embarrassed. That's amazing. You are a healthcare advocate.
Oh, the room was full of people wanting residencies.
Wow.
Full.
Really?
Full.
So actual graduates were there.
Yes.
Really?
You know, it was just, you know, and they were wanting to, you know, it was just,
Yeah.
it was, you know,
It's heartbreaking.
it is
It's heartbreaking.
heartbreaking.
And like you say, our lives could depend on it, because if we don't have the proper number of doctors here to take care of us, you know, the reality is, like say, diagnoses are extended way too long. I mean, people who are being diagnosed for cancer may have to wait 6, 9 months, 12 months even.
It's killing people.
Yeah,
it is
really
killing
is.
people.
It really
you know,
is.
I know of a mom here in the city that went door to door asking doctor specialists to see her son because she didn't think he could wait the 4 or 5 months. You know, imagine.
Yeah, that's terrible.
There's a lady here in the city that asked me to mention her, and she's a beautiful young girl. She broke her hip.
Okay.
And she didn't have a doctor, and who she went to, they kept telling her, just go to the grocery store, just go to the drugstore, you know. She kept going back because her hip hurt so bad, and they, at one time she got very angry, so she's now labeled as red, you know, like, you know, don't see this lady. I don't know, just, it was well over a year before she even got an x-ray.
Really?
And I'm an x-ray technician, and she showed me her x-ray. Her hip had disintegrated.
Really?
It had become necrotic. Of course, the pain must have been unbearable. This lady is a yoga teacher.
Wow.
She was once a nurse. She's beautiful. And she had been neglected so long that this hip just disappeared. Like, they couldn't even help her. And the thing is, like, if she had a family doctor that knew her,
right,
that knew she wasn't in there for higher medications, that she had this pain.
Right.
And I think it's the doctor shortage that did this to her.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
For sure. If they don't have the time, they just, like you say, they make assumptions, or things get misdiagnosed or left undiagnosed, and that's terrible.
Yeah.
So she lived in pain that whole time.
Oh, I don't know how she did it. I honestly, it looked like, if you could picture the ball of your hip as a small squash, and you take a sledgehammer, like,
really,
it was just, my friend is an orthopedic surgeon, and he said he's only seen this like once before.
Really?
Yeah.
So, and she was just brushed off, and again, because she just didn't have that family doctor to advocate for her, to send her to the right specialist. And so let me ask, what drove it? What made you, what brought this to your attention? Because obviously we all talk about, we all know people who don't have doctors. So we know there's an issue, but I think a lot of times it just kind of goes, like, we just don't talk about it, right? People don't really realize, and I guess they don't really understand that there is this program for residents. So what made you say, enough's enough, I need to do something?
I actually was in to see my own doctor about something very simple, probably a year ago, August or September, and he was saying about how overworked they are. And I think I had apologized for being in there for something so simple, because you feel guilty taking their time, and yet this something simple, well, it might have been a oops, So he was saying, that he's just tired, and he's like, they're overworked, and they're just so busy, And then he was saying about the international medical graduates, and he says, and the thing is, their education's paid for, like they paid for it themselves.
Right.
And I said, well, why don't you do something? And he said, I don't have the time.
Wow.
I said, well, I'm 71. I have some time. So
Amazing.
shortly after that, I received a nice letter from him after I sent him my initial letter to Bob Bailey. I also sent it to this doctor. And he says, you know what? I really support what you're doing.
Wow.
But there's not much chance.
Really?
He says there's so many hoops to jump through.
Wow.
And I hope someday to hang that on his wall.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you've been jumping through the hoops, and you're talking to who you need to talk to, and Bob Bailey's been a huge supporter of the.
He absolutely has. He's trying to push this forward. Like, I can't think of a reason why he wouldn't.
Right. No.
Like for me to go out there and continue with my petition, like only about 3 people refused to sign it, and quite honestly, I don't think they had an address.
Yeah. And honestly, maybe they just couldn't be bothered to really know what it's about. But if you know what it's about, like I say, I just don't see it. I don't see any downfall to it. And so, and our doctors want this. Our current doctors need this. Our current doctors, it's not like they're concerned about the competition. They want this assistance.
They're exhausted. Like my husband is, 78 now, but even 5 years ago, like there's some doctors that are working at 73, and not that they're too old to work, but isn't enough?
Right.
Yeah. Don't you want this time for yourself?
Right.
This is exhausting.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's again, in hearing and watching your videos, which you've done an amazing job on,
thank you.
And writing what you're writing, and seeing you down at the water doing your thing, it just, to me, I would never see a downfall in helping to better our community. And I think, and not only that, but it's creating opportunities for people who deserve it.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's, it's not like they're, it's not like they're looking for a handout. They're looking for an opportunity to put their training that they've paid for to use to help us.
Exactly.
Right. So it's just
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Unbelievable. So you started this just over a year ago. Again, it seems like so much longer
Yeah,
because you know what, you've been very present, and you've been around. People are seeing you on social media. People know what you're doing. You've been in the paper, right? You've been kind of all over the place, and now on lovesarnilampton.ca. So, I really do thank you on behalf of others in the community, because I just think it's so important. So, what's the next step? What does it go? Where does it go from here?
I think from here it's just more public awareness. That's what I can do.
Okay.
And the more public awareness that we can create, the more pressure we can put on the politicians who can fix this.
Right.
And they're in that cycle right now.
Yeah.
The residencies will start in April or May. The decisions are made in April and May.
Okay.
And we just need to say, hey, we want this. We are tired of being underserviced.
Right.
Like,
absolutely.
I was shocked. I was at that meeting and I said, are we underserved? And they said yes. And I thought, really?
Yeah.
Really?
And I'm sure there are other communities that are as well. But for a population that we have in Sarnia, to have as few doctors as we have, and do you know offhand what the number of doctors we have currently practicing in Sarnia?
I can't quote them, but it just came to me yesterday, and I'm not sure I remember the number.
Okay. But I'm severely under where we should be.
Well, we're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah.
Even the doctors that are working now, like a lot of them are so overworked that you have to wait 6 and 8 weeks for an appointment.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually talking to a friend the other day who said that they've had a doctor for 3 years. I think 3 years. And again, it might be wrong, maybe 2 years, and they've never actually met the doctor.
Yeah.
Right. And they were dealing with an issue and said, listen, this is an issue I've had for years. I know the prescription that makes me feel better. It's not a narcotic. It's an antibiotic. And, can I get a prescription at least? And not only could they not get in to see the doctor, but they wouldn't fill a prescription because of course it wasn't diagnosed, even though it had been diagnosed several times. And again, not the doctor's fault.
Yeah.
It's there's only so much of one person to go around.
Exactly.
And it's unbelievable. So public awareness, creating more awareness for this. What can we do as residents of Sarnia Lambton to support you, to support the IMG program, or these IMGs for getting the residency program? What can we do? Does it do more signatures on more petitions make sense, or is it more support, rallying together at Queen's Park? What is it that we can do, or is it at this point we just sit back and be aware? Like, I'd love for personally, I'd love to be able to jump in and do something, and I'm sure that there's lots who are going to watch who are going to feel that way too. So not everybody can devote the amount of time that you have, but what can we do going forward to try and help support this, or show that we mean business, that this is serious to us?
Well, thank you so much for asking that. Honestly, like I think it's going through the system now, but we need to push. We need to push those politicians.
Okay.
So if you could just go on Bob Bailey's website or on his Facebook page and say, yes, we need more residencies. Yes, we want the pilot program.
Okay.
So to let him know that, people are suffering. Share with him your stories if you want, or share them with me. And I will, post them and share them with others. Like, what we're all going through is very hard right now.
Absolutely.
On so many people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very hard. Like, the doctor shortage is real. People are suffering. Yeah. It's real. Yeah. I've heard so many horror stories from my apron. People seem to feel comfortable when an old lady's wearing an apron.
For sure. Plus, you're friendly looking. So.
Honestly, it broke my heart. Yeah. It broke my heart. Yeah. And it's still, it's hard to, so please just message him he's got a Facebook page, he's got a messenger page.
Yeah.
If you wanted to write him, you don't even have to put a stamp on it, or write to the Minister of Health, Sylvia Jones.
Okay.
I will say that I presented this to Women's Leadership Conference, which I had no business being at. And I had the nerve to stand up and to speak to Christine Elliott, who is the previous Minister of Health. Okay. And I don't even remember what I said.
Really?
I don't. I really don't. I was the only one in the room without a resume, and I was the oldest one in the room. And she stepped back from her podium and she started to give me a clap.
Really?
And then everyone was clapping and clapping. And she said that, keep going, you can make this happen. We can make this happen.
Wow.
And I thought, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And then she sent me a letter of support.
Really? That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So really, getting on the computer, and people spend hours on, way more than we should anyway, online. So sending those messages to Bob Bailey, sending the messages to Sylvia Jones, Minister of Health, and letting them know. And so will Bob Bailey then, when he presents this at Queen's Park, will he then say, listen, I'm getting this, our community, it's an outcry. We need this. We need.
Absolutely. I feel he would. I cannot speak for him, but he's on this.
Yeah. Well, he's showing support for sure. And
he's, yes.
Wow. Okay.
But again, I still feel this is a community issue.
100%.
No matter what side of the fence you're on, but these are the guys that can fix it.
For sure. Yeah. And that's the reality. It doesn't matter what you vote. They're the ones who are representing us. So we need their support.
Absolutely. And I feel together we got this. Yeah. I feel that we do.
Well, I feel inspired because honestly, to be honest, I think a lot of us have just kind of resigned ourselves to the fact that we aren't going to have a doctor.
Absolutely.
Or maybe we'll have one someday when it's too late. And and I don't know if you feel like sharing any other stories about people who have been misdiagnosed or not diagnosed properly because there wasn't the time. But I mean, we actually kind of, neither of us know the person, but we both heard of a story, and it's unbelievable. Do you want to share that really quickly before we go, or would you?
Well, there's been so many. There was a lady that came to me when I was doing Sarnia Market, and her mom did not have a doctor. Her mom had a stroke, and nobody wanted to take her on to follow up. And going to emergency became so stressful that her mom just didn't want to go, and she passed away. And she totally blames the lack of doctors in the system. She doesn't. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That's hard. I have a good friend that actually is an orthopedic surgeon from Venezuela, and he decided that he was going to go downhill skiing last year. First trip down the hill, he broke his leg in 4 parts. It's not funny.
No.
It's not funny, but they had to helicopter him off, and he had his surgery in London. He says they did an amazing job.
Good.
Like he, like he has his x-rays and stuff, and he had nothing. But the thing is, when he came back, he had no one to do follow-ups. And the walk-in clinics didn't do virtual.
No.
And how does this man get there with his leg so, it was pretty tough. It was pretty tough. Some after effects happened, and I think it's because he did not have a family doctor.
Wow.
He knew what was happening,
right?
But because he had to have access to a doctor, he didn't have access to the drugs that he needed.
So
aftercare.
And that's somebody who is a medical professional.
Oh, absolutely.
And still couldn't. And that's just and so I think that's the message, is that it doesn't matter who it is. Yeah. If even if you do have a family doctor, the reality is it could be too late by the time you're actually able to take care of it. So, so you know what, Marilyn, is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up our show today, or?
I'd like to thank everyone so much.
Yeah.
You for supporting me.
Oh,
all the politicians, everyone here in Lambton County.
Yeah.
Mayor Bradley has been amazing.
Awesome.
The mayors in Petrolia, the county councils, everyone has been so supportive.
That's awesome.
It's just it's nice to know that your thoughts are validated by other people. Absolutely. Rather than
Absolutely.
Because it is such a simple solution.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
It sounds like it, and honestly, I mean, we support you because it's a no-brainer. It's just good for all of us. So for those watching, I mean, take a few minutes and send an email to Bob Bailey, send an email to Sylvia Jones. I'm sure that her email address is accessible online. She's probably not difficult to track down. And if we can't find it, we could probably reach out to you, because you've got all those contacts. So you know what, if you're not following Marilyn on or if you haven't friended her on Facebook, please do, because she's got some incredible information to share, guys. This is not her doing this for any selfish reasons at all. This is her doing this for our community, for the betterment of our community, and it's something we need. And the truth is we are an aging population, and we still don't have the population of younger people we'd like to see in the community, but the truth is that our younger people need doctors too.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, it used to be, well, not a big deal, they're going to move away anyway and go somewhere else. But the truth is everybody needs healthcare. And so if you could take the time, it's an email, not everybody has the time that Marilyn's put into this, and certainly the passion for it. But the truth is, it's something we all need. So I thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing what you're doing. I thank you for all the work you've done already, because it's unbelievable. And I think you've done all the heavy lifting for us. Now it's as simple as just sending those messages.
Please.
Do you have any idea when the next meeting may take place at Queen's Park about this? Is this something this year? I guess the year's almost over, so something in the new year, or is it a scheduled?
I don't have access to that, but I know that probably for the Christmas break, everyone takes a break.
Sure, yeah.
But I know it's on the agenda. I know it's in their heads. I know that they're talking about it.
Okay.
I feel it's moving forward, and I've been told it's moving forward.
Amazing.
But we still have to push.
We still have to push. Absolutely.
Nothing is real until the deal is signed.
That's right.
So,
Absolutely. I know that exactly. Yeah, for sure. It's not a sale until the signatures are on there. For sure.
Yes. So please.
Okay.
Please.
So we've got time. So over the Christmas season, while you're filling out your Christmas cards, take 5 more minutes and send a couple emails, because it really could make a difference, and it really could save a life. So thanks again, Marilyn, for joining us.
No problem.
Guys, thanks again for watching. If you have any questions about real estate, reach out to us. It's hometeamadvantage.ca, or you can call me at 519-331-5552. But if you have questions about this initiative specifically, it's Marilyn Gifford. She's on Facebook. She calls herself the old lady with the apron. She's certainly not old, and her passion is and her energy is like a 20-year-old. So thanks again for joining us, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.